Welcome back to another edition of Talking in Translation. I'm Chris Peterkin, and to my left is my co-host, Rhonda Farmer.
Talking in Translation attempts to get men and women on the same playing field by directly addressing the topics and issues that cause us to fight like cats and dogs. Even though sometimes trying to communicate with one another is like trying to get apples to understand oranges, Talking in Translation tries to destroy language barriers.
With us today, we have two guests. First, we have Avon Banks, a UNCP biology major, and then we have Shonda Hester, a UNCP business student. Welcome, guys.
Yes,
Thanks.
welcome. Well, moving on to our first topic, why do men and women struggle to communicate? Looking over some quotes that I have here from PhD John Gray, he overviews some of the points, reason why we struggle to communicate. First thing, men want space while women want understanding. Men argue for the right to be free while women argue for the right to be upset. The biggest challenge for women is to correctly interpret and support a man when he isn't talking. And finally, men and women seldom mean the same things even when they try to use the same words. So what's your take on that?
I think men and women do use the same words, but we kind of process it differently. Women tend to say, for instance, if a guy say, well, why you spend this much in shopping? And she's like, and we don't have the funds. And he tends to go off about the mistakes that she does. And she's just saying, baby, well, I just wanted this pair of jeans. And I felt like, I needed to splurge on myself for the day. Which he was like, well, didn't you think about da-da-da-da? And maybe she didn't it maybe didn't come across her mind at that time. But to me, I think in that aspect, yeah, men come off sometimes more mean or demanding, which women come off, the more sensible one. They kind of sensible about, things they don't really think about.
It's sensitive.
Yeah,
we're sensitive. Let me get some intakes from you.
As far as being sensible, I would say no to that. Let's say we're playing into your example, the man gets mad at you for making, I guess, a mistake that you was thinking more along the lines of the whole situation instead of that actual thing that you did. It's not that it's less sensible. That's not the issue. Probably the issue may have been that you didn't communicate that to him, or he already had plans and it just wasn't communicated to him. Either way, it wasn't communicated, and he's mad at the mistake, not the situation, because I'm pretty sure there's some kind of understanding about that in a sense. But when it comes down to communication between the two of us, it's actually pretty simple. We're more direct and simple about how we go about talking about things, while y'all like to drive around the track a little bit when it comes to conversation. Y'all feel like y'all have to include details about every little thing, and it's sometimes just not necessary in my part.
Do you have any more input on that? Because it's like it's striking a nerve.
Well, to me, sometimes I think detail is more important because sometimes that may help a man to understand some things that can help them not to make the wrong mistake in the future. When we tell you not to, okay, I don't think, honey, we need to invest in this, and then you go ahead and do it on this like technology or something like that, a little gadget that you want, and then here it comes, you get that, and then you like, man, I need to pay this bill, or man,
Car breakdown.
Yeah, car breakdown, which you could take that money and invest in that or in that matter.
I mean, sometimes, you gotta look at it in this sense too. Like when men talk to men, we're more direct about it. We put our, I guess, feelings on the table, and it's all out there. We're not beating around the bush. So when you go to your man or whomever it is, and you're like, well, I think, or I believe, or maybe we should, to him, that's more of, okay, we'll do that next time, not now. If you were to come at your man and be like, look, you need to stop, like right now, chances are he's more likely to listen to you at that moment because you're talking in the situation now and not looking at it later. And that's how a man is going to perceive it.
But then if we come at you hard, then you say we're nagging.
No,
right?
Nagging comes when you do it too many times.
Okay.
So what is your definition of nagging? Let's get to that. What is nagging?
Nagging is just over excessive complaining, over excessive talking on what we see as petty. We're not going to sit there and, as a man, we're not going to sit there and keep on asking you to put the toilet seat down or something like that. That's not something that it's unnecessary to us. It's not that important. It's not key to us. But for a woman to come into the room and be like, okay, don't forget to do such and such and such, and then say it 5 times in the next 2 minutes, I think that's over excessive and unnecessary.
I mean, it does happen that sometimes women can tell a man to do something and he doesn't do it maybe right then and there. So she has to reiterate. So what do you feel about that?
Well, I have to interject on that one. It's one of those, like we talked about last time, last episode. We talked about, I used the example of, let's say we left a random sweater on the couch. Left it there for about a week. And you know, well, the woman's side, she's going to look at that sweater on the couch and she's going to be like, I'm just going to wait how long? I'm just going to wait.
Don't do that.
I'm patiently going to wait.
Don't do that.
And I'm going to see how long it's going to sit there until he finally picks it up. And then a week goes by and then you're like, okay, forget it. I'm going to pick it up. You pick it up and then you make a big we would call it a nagging fest to the man saying, well, I left it there for a week. I was waiting to see how long you were going to take for you to do it.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I
the
can
fact
see
that
that.
I appreciate the fact that they did it, but also too, it's just one of those.
Because we expect y'all, as men,
Nah.
to take initiative. But you got something to say about that?
Now let me make this point. The process that he just described, you wait a week to pick up something, and then you go through, your emotions on how mad you are about that. Do you know how much time you just spent talking about the same thing? When it comes to men, we're more likely to be like, hey, you need to pick that up now. That's what it's a complete different time period in which something gets done. We don't sit there and waste a week, talking about
Let me
something
see
like
if she
that.
got some comment. You got anything to say about
No,
that?
I don't.
No. Okay.
We're gonna switch gears. I know you really not gonna like this next topic. It's about male dominance.
Okay.
A definition of male dominance, according to Graham Phoenix, is a dominant male is a man who uses physical and mental power to rule over others. They mostly dominate women and try to control everyone and everything in their environment. Nature has given men a physical advantage over women. Some of use force to do what they want. This behavior provides a sense of power and security. And it just goes on to more and more details. One more point is modern women are perfectly capable of doing much of what men are doing. So basically the whole, if you can do it, I can do it too. Well, I'm gonna start off with you. How do you feel about is it a man's world mentality that's being described here?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can really disprove or push that aside. This is a male society. A lot of people in higher places, if you think of senators, congressmen, presidents, leaders of their own countries, majority of them are males. You think about scientists, doctors, people who are in those positions, within the 1%, if you'd like to put it that way, they are mostly males. So to sit there and try to say that, this is equal-footed, or to say that this isn't a male-minded society, I think is just ridiculous at that point.
Now, I know there's times where guys, I understand women, y'all play a very important role in society and life. But there are some guys, there's some guys who have the mentality of, well, according to the Bible, Adam was first, and it was made from women, and from a man's rib was woman. So I feel as if that's a dominant factor right there. It speaks for itself. Like we almost helped create you.
But if it wasn't for a woman, men wouldn't be here.
And God made woman for man because
Right.
that is their helpmate.
Right, but some guys just take to that certain point in argument and just keep it right there. They don't read until later on. They just want to keep that. They think that's their argument as far as like being dominant in a relationship or just being dominant in general.
And I think, that first point you read about a dominant male is a man who is physically or mentally powerful and rule over others. Right. That is a weak individual. He has insecurities about himself. And it ties into the Bible again. You have, if a man is appointed to you, me personally, I feel like the man should be appointed through God, and you don't mind following that person, but that's how you weed out that mate. So you have say anything about that?
Basically, I think like when you say like a man being more dominant or whatever, I think this country has guys are men are more this is a man's world basically. But for as a woman, I feel like she should learn to be submissive to her husband, and that kind of thing, submissive, or if it wasn't for certain types of men being in place, women wouldn't have certain platforms as that is.
Well, this is a question that's being asked in the future. Will men continue to dominate, or will it be finally a turn for the women to finally just take the reins and lead?
Go ahead.
I think there will be a place, I mean, because the platform is starting now. You think about President Obama, how Michelle Obama, how she's taking platform. I think about President Clinton, how his wife, Hillary, is taking platform. So I do think there will be a time, and it will come about, where women will take that platform of being the dominant part. You know, think about Oprah Winfrey. As now, you know, it would be cool to see her run for president or something like that, because she is one of the most popular, strong women in this country that, you know, she's a billionaire, and so she set that example.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and argue. I guess I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I'm going to be the one that you're going to be mad at later on tonight thinking about what I said. But honestly, no, I don't feel that females will be given that opportunity. Mind you, I'm not saying a woman doesn't have the capability to do so, but given that the system that we have, women are seen as minorities. You see where I'm going? So think about it from this time right now. Minorities are still like the small portion of major factors of companies or hospitals or, you know, systems that are in place already. And going back from like a couple hundred years, I mean, yes, they've made progress, but they're still considered a minority, and they only hold but so much of a share of, I guess, a dominating position within our society. So when you think of,
let me get her. Let me see what you're saying. Go ahead.
But you're right. You're right on some aspects. Just like we never thought we would see, you know, a black president in this country in time. Just think about it. Who's to say down the line? You never know. People's hearts or minds may change. A woman may come with a good idea, and they may see that, hey, she knows what she's doing, or she knows what she's talking about. So who's to say that, you know, a woman won't be the next president, or won't be a step up to that plate, that platform? So.
And I agree totally with you, but that's an individual compared to a widespread shift. You see where I'm going with that?
I get where you're going.
Exactly. So there'll still be the men. It will still be male oriented. It'll still be a manly system. It will still have that manly presence of itself. Not saying that there won't be women in those type of positions. I'm just saying that it will be pretty much dominated still at that point by men.